Your cat just reached out and gently tapped your arm with their paw. You smiled. Maybe you laughed. You thought it was play. But here is what actually happened inside your cat's brain at that exact moment. Their amygdala fired a risk assessment signal. Their nervous system calculated whether touching you, a creature 20 times their size, was safe enough to attempt. That tiny tap was not a game. It was a question. And the answer you gave in the next 3 seconds either deposited trust into an invisible account or made a withdrawal from it. Most owners withdraw every single day without knowing it. And the worst part is, by the time you notice the damage, your cat has already stopped reaching out entirely. Today, I am going to show you the 5 silent moments you're draining your cat's trust account, and more importantly, how to rebuild it one deposit at a time. Think about this from your cat's perspective. You're a 4-kilogram creature living in a world designed for giants. The floor trembles when they walk, doors slam without warning, enormous hands descend from above at unpredictable intervals. In this reality, reaching out and voluntarily touching the giant is not casual. It is a calculated neurological event. When your cat taps you with their paw, their prefrontal cortex has already run a threat analysis. Their brain is asking one single question: is this giant predictable enough to touch safely? Research from Oregon State University on feline attachment styles showed that cats form secure or insecure bonds with their owners in patterns remarkably similar to human infants. The secure ones reach out. The insecure ones stop trying altogether. They do not become aggressive. They simply go quiet, and quiet is the most expensive withdrawal there is. That paw tap is a petition. Your cat is telling you, I am choosing to be vulnerable with you right now. And here is where most owners make the first withdrawal. They react too fast. They grab the paw. They suddenly scoop the cat up. They laugh loudly and make a big gesture. To you, that is love. To a 4-kilogram animal whose survival instincts depend on reading microsignals, that sudden burst of energy is chaos. Their pupils dilate. Their ears flatten by a fraction. And a microdose of adrenaline enters their bloodstream. You did not see any of this, but their ledger recorded every bit of it. The deposit. When your cat taps you, do less, not more. Acknowledge it with stillness. Let your hand rest near them without grabbing. Give them the 3 seconds they need to confirm that their vulnerability was met with calm, not unpredictability. That stillness is worth more than 100 treats. You have probably heard that slow blinking at your cat means I love you. That is a beautiful simplification, but the real science behind it is far more fascinating. Researchers at the University of Sussex ran controlled experiments and confirmed that cats were significantly more likely to approach a human who slow blinked at them versus one with a neutral face. But here is what most people miss about that finding. The slow blink did not generate love. It communicated the absence of threat. In the predator-prey architecture your cat's brain still operates within, an unbroken stare is a declaration of dominance or hostility. When you hold eye contact with your cat for too long without blinking, their amygdala does not read it as bonding. It reads it as confrontation. Every long stare without a slow blink is a withdrawal from the trust account. Now reverse it. When you soften your eyes and slowly let them close in front of your cat, you are neurologically broadcasting, I am choosing to be defenseless near you. I am shutting my eyes in the presence of a predator. That is the deposit. Not words, not food, the shared language of chosen vulnerability. And when your cat slow blinks back, that is not adorable. That is a receipt. They are confirming the transaction has been recorded. If this is changing how you see your cat right now, consider subscribing. Not for me, for the one who has been blinking at you this whole time. Here is something that might surprise you. Your cat does not just recognize your voice. They neurologically respond to it in a way they respond to no other human voice on the planet. Researchers at Paris Nanterre University found that cats display distinct behavioral and physiological shifts when hearing their owner speak compared to a stranger, but only when the owner uses a particular vocal register, a higher-pitched melodic tone, similar to the way people naturally speak to infants. When you use that register, measurable things happen. Your cat's ear orientation changes, their pupil dilation adjusts, their posture transitions from passive rest to gentle attention. They are not simply hearing sound, they are decoding safety. But here is the withdrawal nobody notices. You walk through the door after a brutal day. You're exhausted, tense, maybe snapping at someone on the phone. Your voice drops into a flat, low, hard register. To you, none of that involves your cat. To your cat, the most familiar sound in their world just became unrecognizable. Their cortisol begins to rise because the vocal signature they mapped to safety has been replaced by something their system cannot classify. They do not run, they do not hiss, they simply watch from a distance, recalculating whether the giant is still safe. The deposit is simple awareness. You do not have to fake happiness, you just need a moment of transition. Walk in, breathe, and offer 3 seconds of that familiar tone. Hey there, I am home. That is all it takes. You are re-entering their world, Give them the password before you walk through the door. Your cat's body is not a uniform surface. It is a detailed neurological map where different zones trigger entirely different chemical reactions. Research published in Applied Animal Behavior Science documented that cats have concentrated scent glands around their cheeks, chin, and the base of their ears. When your cat rubs these areas against you, they are depositing facial pheromones, chemically labeling you as familiar, as safe, as belonging to them. But other zones, the belly, the base of the tail, the back legs, activate a completely different cascade. Nerve endings in these regions are denser and wired more closely to defensive reflexes. When you rub your cat's belly because they rolled over and showed it, you might be misreading the entire signal. That belly exposure is often not an invitation, it is a declaration of trust. Your cat is saying, I feel safe enough to reveal the part of my body I guard most fiercely. Reaching in and touching it can register as a violation. Consider it through their lens. They offered you their most protected territory and you grabbed it. That is not a minor withdrawal, that is a broken contract. The deposit. Learn your individual cat's map. Every cat has zones where touch floods them with oxytocin and zones where it spikes cortisol. Watch for the ripple, that subtle wave traveling along their back that signals overstimulation is approaching. Respect the exposed belly for what it truly is, not a request for touch, an honor to witness. If you are rethinking every belly rub right now, send this to someone who needs to hear it. This changes everything. A study conducted at Sophia University in Tokyo demonstrated something striking. Cats can distinguish their own name from other words with similar phonetic structures. They absolutely know when you're calling them, and yet they frequently choose not to respond. For years, this was taken as evidence that cats are cold, indifferent, perhaps even contemptuous. But the trust account reveals a completely different story. Your cat's decision to respond or ignore their name is not about understanding. It is about prediction. Every time you called their name and it was followed by something unpleasant, a bath, a carrier, being yanked off the counter, you taught their nervous system a pattern. Name equals unpredictability. Name equals a potential cost. So they stopped responding. Not because they do not hear, because answering has burned them before. Rebuilding this is among the most valuable deposits you can make. Begin using your cat's name exclusively in neutral or positive moments. Say it softly when you place their food down. Whisper it during a quiet evening together. Pair it with a slow blink. Over weeks, you will rewrite the neurological association entirely, transforming their name from a warning signal into a welcome. Here is the truth about the trust account that reframes everything. Withdrawals compound faster than deposits. A single, frightening moment can erase weeks of careful investment. That sounds brutal. But there is another side of this equation that most people never stay long enough to discover. Deposits compound too. They just accumulate silently. Every time you let your cat approach you instead of reaching for them, a deposit. Every time you slow blink across a quiet room expecting nothing back, a deposit. Every time you soften your voice in those first 3 seconds at the door, a deposit. Every time you honor the map, respect the belly, and answer the paw tap with presence instead of performance, a deposit. Over time, these transactions build something no treat, no toy, no luxury bed can manufacture. They construct a biological certainty inside your cat's nervous system that you are not just a provider. You are the presence that makes the threat calculation finally stop. You are the signal that brings cortisol down and lets oxytocin rise without resistance. You are the giant who learned to be still. Your cat will never see you as a master. They do not think in hierarchies of obedience. But you can become something far more sacred to a creature that filters every moment through a lens of survival. You become their safest place. You become the answer to every risk their brain has ever measured. You become home. And that is not poetry, that is neuroscience.